Are you thinking about buying property on a lake? Well, hey, in this video, I'm gonna share 10 tips on purchasing lake property so that you can avoid buying the wrong house or the wrong piece of land. So stay tuned. Hello, my name is Dana Pollard and I'm a real estate agent in Texas. So if you are thinking about buying lake property or any kind of regular property, fill out the Dream Home questionnaire in the link below. And if you're thinking about selling property in the state of Texas, fill out the Sell My Property questionnaire in the link below to schedule your one-on-one consultation via Zoom or phone call. Anyway, let's talk about this lake property. Maybe you want to buy your primary home, a secondary home, maybe a cabin, Airbnb. There's so many things you may do with lake property, but buying the wrong one or buying with restrictions is probably the biggest issue. So the first tip in this video sounds cheesy, but I tell you, it's gonna be an important one. So the first tip is choose the right lake. Now listen. That sounds cheesy. But it's more than just recreation. So yes, you want to find the one with good recreation, but did you know that some houses are actually, the land beneath it is actually leased? And so you want to just kind of look at all the restrictions, deed restrictions, as well as, is the land leased that the house sits underneath? So that's one big key. And also within choosing the right lake is going to be, if you want to do an Airbnb or maybe eventually do an Airbnb, then you want to check the city restrictions on Airbnb properties. Many cities won't allow leases less than 30 days in any property, and so there are some serious restrictions. So check the city codes before doing Airbnb. Also, if you are going to be building a dock, you want to make sure that that lake allows docks. And so some of these lakes, especially in Texas, are owned by the Corps of Engineers and they do not allow docks. So if that's important to you, you want to check on it. Tip number 2, it kind of leads me into the second one, is find a really good real estate agent that knows about lakes. So you don't want to go into it blind. So find a great agent. On that note, the best time to buy a lake property is when the market drops. And so we may be kind of gearing up for a great time to purchase a home or property on the lake. The third tip is be aware of how far the community is developed, meaning if it's a brand new subdivision right there on the lake, where are they at in the process? Purchasing early in a development before the roads, electricity, or amenities are built, it can be a little risky. So just know that with the market that we're going into, developers are known to cut back when times get tough. Now, don't get me wrong, that's the best time to purchase because you typically get the best deal when times are rough. However, you don't want to get stuck with a developer who says, you know, we're going to put this thing on pause until we see some different trends going up. And you just don't want to get stuck in that situation. Also, you want to know, where's the electricity coming from? What's the water source? Will there be a sewer system or will it be a septic tank? Those are all things that you want to consider if you're getting early on in a subdivision. Also, depending on the developer, if it's a neighborhood or a custom home, you also want to know what is the amount that the homeowner is going to contribute for all of those things. Tip number 4 is get out there and walk the property, like physically walk the whole thing so you can really get a feel for the land, of course the house, but for the land especially. Is it level? Where does the rainwater run off? What is the natural vegetation like? Would a sprinkler system be required for landscaping changes? Those are all extra costs. Number 5 is be aware of which direction your house faces. So what I'm going to talk about is the backyard specifically, but many times the front house faces, say the house faces east, okay, the front faces east, and your backyard to the lake faces west. Well, you have that Well, you have that sun going down in the west, and in the summer times for Texas, it gets mighty hot in those evening hours between 4 and I'd say 8 o'clock. And you are not going to enjoy the lake near as much if you have that sun beating down on you every evening. So the better consideration is when your backyard faces east. Like, to me, that's ideal. But it's okay to face north or south as well because you're still getting some shade. Just consider that when purchasing property. The sixth tip is to research the shoreline history. What I mean is what happens during a very wet year and what happens to the shoreline during a drought. Does the shoreline on your property have a history of erosion? These are all good questions to ask. Can we build a pool, or are there going to be water line issues? The seventh tip is to check the insurance requirements and premiums. Sometimes a portion of the property can be in the front plane, and that can be a problem for construction or additions. If the property is in a floodplain, then you'll have to pay additional insurance premiums, and it can get pretty expensive. So you just want to take that into consideration. As real estate agents, we can pull it up, or you can go to the FEMA map and take a look there to see if the property is in a floodplain. Number 8, you want to look for hidden costs. Waterfront properties can sometimes carry additional expenses that buyers may not be aware of. For instance, water and sewer rates can be more expensive than inland rates. Boat dock and lift fees, as well as septic tank and well upkeep, are potentially hidden expenses to inquire about as well. And like I talked about earlier, some properties are on leased land. So when you buy a house, you may inherit the remaining term of a 100-year lease of the land itself. So if the lease is nearing the expiration, you may want to do some research and discover how the other landowners had negotiated the lease for their properties. The rental agreement is likely to rise exponentially to account for inflation and market value. Even if you have plenty of time left on the lease, you just want to be aware, even for future buyers, of that property. Now, there is an upside to buying property on leased land, as the land is not taxed to you. Be sure to compare the cost of the property taxes versus the cost of the land lease, as both can vary widely. The next tip is to not overbuild. Meaning, if you're going to buy a large property or build a large property, just consider, while they are beautiful and very spacious, that if you're going to be in the home and having to clean up after your family while using it, say it's a second home, then you may not want to spend your vacation time cleaning. Just a thought. But you can bring your maid with you. That's okay too. And lastly, just consider future use of this lake itself. So do you anticipate any overcrowding issues? How much land is left to be developed compared to how many people are using the lake? And just to kind of anticipate 5, 10, 20 years down the road, if you are going to hang on to the property, what the living is going to be like then versus now. Could a block of condos be built nearby? Could you ever conceivably lose the view? How would years of drought affect it? Those are just some long-term things to think about. So while lake living is wonderful, it's not something you want to just jump into unaware of some things, which is why I made this video. So if you're thinking about buying property on lake in Texas, or even anywhere in the US, I can get you hooked up with a lake expert. So just fill out the Dream Home questionnaire. Even if you're just buying land, that's okay. You can indicate that on the questionnaire, and we can get you hooked up with a fantastic lake expert. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and like this video if you like this content. Thanks so much.